They're pretty sharp, tall. Who the bloody hell is this Martin Pariseau? Well, it's 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and it is November 19th, 2023. You know, I talked about my life skills coach training, and it wasn't just about what the lessons were about and partaking in them ourselves to see what they feel like, to see what triggers would come up, and learning how to facilitate groups that would go through triggers, for example. But there's also a strong element of personal development, and a lot of it was doing homework that we needed to report on our small group about. And one thing that I never forgot about is, you know, I'm not much into drawing. I'm not very talented at that, but I did a drawing of myself older, you know, shaved head or bald head, and looking out a window of a second-story house where I lived. And I was pretty old, and I had a caregiver, and this was a small rural community, and my time to die was coming. And I think it was more about, you know, the kind of life we wanted, who we wanted to be, or what our legacy would be. And in this scenario, you know, a lot of people that knew me came, so I looked down on the property where I was, and they knew, I don't know, maybe my caregiver said to the community, maybe it's probably going to be today. They came, and they didn't try to talk to me. They just, you know, I already knew them, and some might have just heard of the life I lived and was, you know, retiring in that small community. And that house and that community, you know, there is a place and there is a house in this scenario. So, and that always kind of shook me hard, this homework, because for me, that's really what I want. I really want to be, either there's a book or there's a community I gave a lot to, all my skill sets as a polymath, all my programs in the long term, and they were so grateful. And this is where I would die, and looking out the window, getting up from this chair, and seeing all the neighbors, or even some that travel around the world, to come pay their respects on the day I would die. You know, that's kind of the life I want to live. That's who I want to be, and I already have all the skill sets to achieve this. I've just never found the community that would allow me this honorable life and ending of life. And there's a lot of rumors about who the bloody hell is this Martin Pariseau? There's a lot of rumors about a sequel to I Am Legend, you know, the movie with Will Smith. You read a lot of different types of storylines. It's pretty cold with the wind. I hope the phone doesn't cut out. And sometimes maybe I am legend, but not in the sense that I'm arrogant, because it takes a species that builds churches that makes itself special. That's an arrogant species compared to me that just is confident about the skill sets that I beg to be recorded demonstrating. You know, there's a big difference. And you know, if you can bring your God to me and prove them to me, you know, I'll take you seriously. But I have skill sets, and I can demonstrate them. And if you don't take me seriously, it's not because the evidence isn't there. It's because you prefer to see yourselves high and mighty without doing the work or actually providing the evidence for it while you're alive. And you use the afterlife as an excuse. You'll get your proof then. Oh yeah, makes sense to me. The guy who teaches critical thinking online, and nobody can partake in that course either. So in I Am Legends, the reason I'm saying I am a legend, I'm holding the phone like this to keep it a bit warmer, and is that, you know, if there was a disease, you know, maybe coming out of the Arctic, maybe some old pathogens that 98% of the world's population can't fight off, let's say, or even I'm the last one. I mean, in the movie, you're not sure really if he's the last one. He hasn't traveled all around the world, but he is technology skilled, so he might have been able to pick up any kind of messages from anywhere around the world, maybe. But if only if the survivors were able to be savvy in that way as well. So the wind's from there, so I'll do this just to finish this video. And I am legend in the sense that I know I have the resilience, the skill sets, the problem-solving skills, the ability to withstand not just being lonely, but the feeling of total aloneness, which has been more and more as I've continued to accelerate my progress to become an Homo sapien up here. And, and HSD is accelerating that you are losing that as a majority up here, creating a bigger divide and more sense of aloneness. As I demonstrate my skill sets, my motivation, my commitment to help you, there might be a dog or two or other animals that might be kind of going wild, but I wouldn't tame them in a sense of domestication. I would show them that it's okay to believe in me as a friend, and they would become a good friend. And in a way, that's what I would have to do with a person too. There'd be so many traumas and triggers and pathologies unaddressed that I'd have to kind of tame that person that would maybe at the right time in their lives meet me and be ready for a friendship. We're all animals in this way, animals that have not succeeded at, learning very good social skills. So if that's the destiny that happens to me, I guess I'd settle for it. I'd settle for I am legend. And being alone with a dog and maybe another dog, and maybe when they die, another dog, and just like, for example, fixing things on my motorhome would be easier if nobody existed. Because I could just find places where parts are, make sure it's the right part, and install it myself, because there'd be tools there. And I'd get another tensor machine and plug in more massages on my muscles, and I could read all the comic books I want without having to buy them, because I could go to a store where they were there, comic book store, and not wait for the library to order it. And I wouldn't feel guilty, looking at material that would make it easy for me to satisfy my own needs. And guilt is not what I watch. It's just, man, I'm a good person. I'm a tender lover. You can ask all my past girlfriends, and yet I can't get a date or even somebody to just see me as somebody they'd want to date. So, life would be so much easier by myself as an Homo sapien compared to living with you guys. But of course, I still hope for looking out the window of that second-story building and having spent a few decades in a community that would have learned to appreciate me.